Hey, this is Caleb from HarvestWorks. We're out here in the dealership. We're just prepping for an ag show that's coming up here in the next week. I wanted to take a moment and just talk through some of the different manufacturers. We get asked this a lot, which drone is the best? And, we're gonna dissatisfy you with the answer because the reality is, every drone has its pros and cons. So it really depends. And you're gonna see that a lot when you're in the forums and the Facebook groups and talking to guys that are in the industry, and you ask some of these questions like, what's the best way to do this? Or how many acres can I get a day? Or how should I set up my trailer? Which drone is it? The answer often is it depends. So I've run XAG for a number of years, and really XAG is one of the top in the industry. There's no doubt about it. When they came out with the P100 Pro, it was really killing everybody else in productivity. It is probably the most durable drone that has ever been built. Those things can go through a war and come out the other side, still be spraying. They're really terrific. The P150, a good drone. We were cutting our teeth on networking and connection issues when it first was launched, but now with the 150 Max coming out, a lot of those issues solved, big improvements. It's going to be a phenomenal drone. XAG really is an acre king. They're great for flat, big, open ground. They're very durable. They're reliable. They just keep working. They're very simple mechanically. There's way less that can go wrong on them, but that's also one of the cons of the XAG system is, it's a single front obstacle avoidance radar system. They are using ocular video to help to read terrain and to map going ahead, but it's still a less sophisticated obstacle avoidance system. But again, a lot of us in the industry, we're pre-mapping, so we know what our boundaries are, we know where our obstacles are, and if you do that, you're gonna have very little issues with XAG. They're a terrific drone. Next, you'll see behind me, this is the Vector, right? And so I would say Vector and DJI are gonna be pretty similar as far as capability, interface, and software styling. They airframe wise are very, very close to one another. Obviously right now, unfortunately, DJI is dealing with some pretty significant hurdles to getting those into the US, parts supplies, and also with just their efficacy moving forward, whether we'll be able to get them or not. They really were the king of the industry for a while. One thing that DJI still does better than everybody else is signal transmission and video feed. They really are the best, and I even run a DJI Mavic for my imaging, so to speak to DJI's strengths. But where the Vector comes in, so a little bit less in signal range, a little bit lower quality camera, but again, a lot of us are pre-mapping. That's not as big of an issue, and it's interesting that some of the factors, or some of the features rather, that Vector brought into the HD 580 behind me, it really pulled from the best in the industry and put them into one user interface. And there's a lot about this drone that I like. The efficiency actually is, out of all the drones I've tested, the top at this point. Now, we've got a few models coming out in 2026 that will surpass productivity here. But again, you got to remember, it depends. We're up here in the hills of Pennsylvania. There's going to be some significant limitations on what a drone is just going to be able to knock out an acre or in acres an hour here in Pennsylvania. So, that's one thing to keep in mind. This Vector, I am anticipating running this. This will be in my operation this coming year. We were testing it out this last year a little bit, really liked what we saw. It's gonna prove to be an excellent spray drone, and especially at the price point. So hard to beat. Now, we've got the EA Vision. Again, terrific brand. HarvestWorks doesn't sell or support EA Vision, but I've got some colleagues in the industry here in Pennsylvania that ran J100s, had great success with them, and now the J150 is looking like it's going to be excellent. Agrospray does a great job. I really respect the crew over there. So it's a great option. There's some things that they do really well. There's some things that other manufacturers do better, and I can't speak to them quite as much. I will say, out of all the drones I've watched, fly, XAG actually has the smoothest flight in air. It is so fluid, and that makes sense. They really started their development of flight controllers, put them way ahead of the in-air operations of all the other drones. So they are by far the smoothest that I've seen fly. I don't have operational experience with the EA Vision brand though, so I can't speak too well to that, except to say that I know they're a solid drone. They have their own quirks, but you know, every one of these drones is going to. And so now to the really interesting one that's coming our direction. Series Air is coming out. They're a US-based company manufacturing the critical components of their new model, which is going to be called the Black Betty, actually up in Vermont, so not too far from us here. And this is going to be a drone unlike anything we've seen on the market. We're talking 40-gallon capacity. We're talking 400-pound lift, upwards of 50-foot swaths. This thing is going to be an absolute beast. And so I'm looking forward to getting one in our hands here at HarvestWorks. And we're going to be kind of the guinea pigs for you guys. We're going to test and see whether that can go out into these tight, you know, we're averaging 10-acre size fields here. There's trees everywhere. So we're going to be the ones to go out and see, okay, what is the efficiency of a drone this size? Is it practical in our area? If you put the money into it, will the return come back? Because I mean, we're talking 3-phase generators, a whole different trailer layout. So we've got a lot to prepare for the spring coming up here. But we're excited to get one in our hands. We have a lot of confidence in the product, in the company, just based on its history of development and who's been involved in that. And we're really excited to be able to offer it to you guys if that's something you think will fit in the operation that you're running. So out of each of the drones, you know, XAG, EA Vision, DJI, Vector, and now Series Air, boy, it really just comes down to what are your circumstances? What are you trying to accomplish? What are the features that you really need? And what's your budget? You know, that's going to play a role. And so it really takes a conversation with an educated dealer or educated operators to be able to help lead you in the right direction for what drone is going to be a fit for you. So if you're at that point and you're saying, oh, I'm looking at putting these into my, operation, or to bring it onto the farm, or start up that business, and you're trying to decide between the manufacturers, give us a call. We happily talk through people with what is going to be the fit for you, and we'll look at your circumstances and help you design the best fit for your operation. So I hope you guys are doing well. Looking forward to 2026 and all that it brings for us in the ag industry. We'll catch up with you guys later.